My name is James Williams Jr. This is Kung Fu Habit number 2. This is my last video for tonight. Alright. So as you know, there's a whole bunch of other stuff about O.J. Simpson on the I.D.Channel. O.J. Guilty or Innocent. I think tonight was the last night they did this program. And I've been watching it, and they have said things that I have been saying since 1994 when all this shit went down. Now, I was out of high school, the first year out of high school, and an idol of mine. I don't like football, but I liked O.J. Simpson because I liked all of his uh, comedy movies. And the only movie I seen him die in was The Tower Inferno. So, I liked all of his movies and everything. And for him to have killed that woman or have knowledge of someone who killed that woman was something that I've always said. I've always said that if he didn't do it, he knows somebody who did do it, or he paid someone to do it, or he had some involvement on some level or another. And these guys' facts and stuff are pretty much on point to the things I was saying. So let me drop this on you real fast, because as I said in many of my other videos, and if you watch any of my Kung Fu movies or anything else from Kung Fu Habit 1, or anything that I put up that has me doing martial arts, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm good. I'm real good. And I'm going to tell you, if Ron Goldman was a martial artist, it would have had to take more than one person to kill him. Period. And they have determined that, they were attacked. Period. The problem here is, as a martial artist, I can fight and kill maybe 2 or 3 people by myself. But an untrained person who gets lucky can do the same. The thing is, who got killed first will always be my mystery. I'm pretty sure that he would have been fighting to save her, and I'm pretty sure that she would have been screaming. However, through all this, no neighbor heard anything. Nobody screamed. Nobody dogs. Cato Caton was sleeping in the basement apartment or whatever the hell, because he was the manny, and nobody knows how the hell this happened. And a lot of forensic evidence was messed up, and all this other stuff, and DNA was missing, and they come across this chest with his son, and Al Collins was the driver of the Bronco when they were going down the highway or whatever the hell it was. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, way back in 1994, it's like, this case is going to be just as crazy. And then the John Benet Ramsey thing happened, and then they stayed mostly on OJ. But for those who remember John Benet and this whole OJ thing, these things were happening like back to back. They were like tragic on every level. But the problem is, as a martial artist, I've been jumped and I've won. So I know that if Ron Goldman was a black belt like they say he was, I'm not a black belt. If I can win being jumped by 2 people, then it wouldn't be a problem for him to win. Although there was a knife and stuff involved. But most martial arts are trained to fight against knife attacks. Alright? Now, the best way to handle yourself against a knife attack is to not let the person get the knife out in the first place. However, there's nothing like a surprise attack. You can't really avoid a surprise attack because you just don't know when that shit's going to happen. That's why it's called a surprise attack. Now, we'll tell you, I don't understand how the hell anybody could grab her and she not scream while they're beating up Ron Goldman. This shit does not make sense to me on a logical standpoint. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's highly improbable that one guy killed 2 people by himself. Now, it's possible for 3 or 4 people to have been there and killed them, because if 2 guys are fighting him, there had to be a 3rd guy there to keep her at bay from helping him, unless she was like totally frozen in fear. Now, I will say this, a Special Forces person or a Navy SEAL person could have done this shit by himself. But he'd have had to been quick. But from what they said on these autopsies of Ron Goldman put up a hell of a fight. So clearly it wasn't a Navy SEAL person, because Ron Goldman put up a hell of a fight. So it had to be somebody who was an average Joe who just thought that he was a badass, because clearly if Ron Goldman put up a fight, then there was no way in hell that there was less than one person. Now, I don't know if Ron Goldman was an expert at martial arts. I just know that there was rumors about him being a martial artist or self-defense person, and anybody can tell you that they're a self-defense person or a martial artist, and the proof is generally in the pudding. If they've never had to use it in a fight, then they're just someone who took martial arts and hoped like hell that they never have to use it. Alright? On the other hand, I learned martial arts because I needed a better fighting style to keep my ass from getting beat while I was a little kid fighting in the streets. There's a big difference when you've been fighting for as long as I have than when you're just a novice and you're just taking it just to have something to do for recreation. When I first started taking martial arts with Master Jim Ennis, God rest his soul, by the way, who committed seppuku for a crime that he probably could have fought and caught. As a martial artist, the first thing you are taught is how to evade a fight. As a street fighter, the first thing you are taught is how to win a fight by any means necessary. Now, there's a flip side to everything. When I first started taking martial arts under Master Ennis' teaching, I could fight, but I couldn't do katas. Because when I started learning martial arts, katas was not the thing. I was being taught more like in a Bruce Lee style where there are no forms. You just learn how to kick and how to punch, because a kick is a kick and a punch is a punch. And it's not how hard you kick, it's where you kick. Those are the most important things. So as a fighter, I learned how to utilize what I could use and take out what I didn't need. I have beaten many a black belts who have gone through all the katas and all the professional training, and when I was in Mr. Ennis' class, I couldn't do kata 1. I couldn't earn a yellow belt. I couldn't earn a green belt. I couldn't earn a belt to save my life. And Mr. Ennis and I had this talk once, and it's like, well, how are you so good with this, but you can't do katas? And I told him, I was never taught katas. It's like, well, how did you learn martial arts without katas? I was taught how to kick and how to punch. I was never taught katas. And it's worked for me so far. I can't do any katas now. And now I can't even do kung fu because of the hip replacement. But in the essentials of all of this learning, there are ways that people learn and there are ways that people don't learn. Everybody learns differently, so you have to be aware of that. So if Ron Goldman was a person of self-defense, he may have only knew certain things and not how to defend himself against knife attacks. A lot of martial arts schools don't teach you knife attacks anymore because they just either aren't qualified to teach you that, or they live in the impossible realm that it can never happen to you. And that is not true. You can always be stabbed. I mean, I don't give a damn who you are. I was stabbed in the back in the 3rd grade by a girl that I liked with a pencil, whose name will remain nameless. But she was blonde and she was pretty with blue eyes. Just know that. And my Spider-Man shirt was white, but it was red by the time I left because the teacher, who seen me doing the Homer Simpson thing on the floor, just didn't give any knowledge that I was stabbed in the fucking back. Anyway, you can be great and still die. You can be great and still lose a fight. It's all on preparation, really. And a surprise attack is probably how they got him. But for her to not to be able to scream, they had to either get her first or get them both at the same time, which we had him preoccupied trying to save himself while he's trying to save her. I'm going to close out with this, because I've said this before, and I'll say this again. I don't think OJ did it, but I know damn well he probably had a connection to it on some level or another. You guys should probably check out the J Simpson Is He Innocent new thing on the I.D.Channel. You probably can watch it all on demand at one time now. It was like a 3-show special or whatever. And it'll make you think about some things, and maybe his son did it. It doesn't go into detail, but there was rumors before all this that his son and her also had a sexual relationship. I don't believe everything until it comes to light. Like they say, everything done in the dark will come into the light. So if you're doing bad, better be ready, because eventually that little circle of karma is going to come back around. Anyway, I'm James Simpson. This is Kung Fu Epic number 2. Be seeing you.